We now focus our attention onto boxing. Fight booked for the 22nd of April 2017. Martin Murray versus Gabe Rosado. The record's Martin Murray 34 even, 4-1, so that's 34 wins, 16 KOs, 1 KO loss. Gabe Rosado 23 wins, 13 by way of KO, 10 losses, 0 draws, 4 losses by KO. Interesting style-wise, 2 hard men. I mean, Gabe Rosado, if you saw him in the street and you had some bother with him, you wouldn't mess about with him. Tattoos all over the place. From the street, serious guy. Martin Murray from Liverpool, once again. You get into a scrap with Martin Murray, you're going to know about it. He's a serious guy, durable, good heart. 2 good careers. I'd say Martin Murray's operated at a higher level. He's had, his title shots haven't gone the way he would have liked. He's had his title shots and they haven't really worked out. Gabe Rosado's been in fights with high-profile people as well. Recently losing to Willie Monroe Jr. Pretty much just getting outboxed. Willie Monroe Jr. choosing to, be evasive and stick to boxing skills rather than get into a straightener. I mean, that's what Rosado's good at, getting into a straightener and competing and trading. Martin and Murray as well, when it gets into a trade-off, is dangerous. Not huge. I don't want to insult them. The techniques aren't amazing in this fight in terms of boxing skill, but they have it. They're very experienced. They can react, they can adjust mid-fight. But mainly they're into hand-to-hand combat. They're into strong chins, which they both have. Martin Murray went far with GGG. Arguably went as far as anybody has, well, other than Daniel Jacobs, obviously, recently, who went the distance with GGG. But yeah, Martin Murray, I mean, that was a good performance. I think it was on Monte Carlo. We had it shown on Channel 5, very lucky, free of charge. No PPV or subscription in this country. It's a great fight. Martin Murray went out there. You know what you're getting from Martin Murray. It's going to be a lot of effort. It's going to be a lot of sweat. It's going to be a lot of blood. It's going to be tears if necessary. He's going to put everything out there. He's not going to quit. And the same can be said of Gabe Rosado. And that's why this fight, I hope it gets some decent attention, because this is what boxing is about, this sort of fight. This is the fights you want to watch. They're going to talk to you about paying a fortune on pay-per-view in the States, slightly less in the UK, to watch Mayweather against Pacquiao, and then it's useless. It's not entertaining. This fight, it might not be the biggest headliner in the world, but in terms of styles, in terms of the way these guys have conducting themselves in their careers, it's set to be big. If you look at Rosado's record, you see those 10 losses, 4 by KO, and it might be easy to glance at the records and say, oh, Martin Murray, if you look at his losses against the likes of Arthur Abraham, George Groves, Gennady Golovkin, Sergio Martinez. I mean, these are accomplished names. These are serious operators in boxing. Right? These are the guys that it's taken to beat him. George Groves is probably on the brink of picking up a title at 168, or will have another shot recently coming up. So Arthur Abraham, he's been around. It was a bit of a shame the way he lost his title. Went abroad and got beaten quite comprehensively, quite embarrassingly actually for Arthur Abraham. But he's been a warrior. He's been a legend. We know how great he's been over his career. Gennady Golovkin, we know how good he is. Sergio Martinez, a legend. So when you have these sort of losses on your resume, it almost adds weight to it rather than disparages it. So let's give Martin Murray some credit for a great career. And it's not over. I would say it's coming to the end. I would say it's past his peak. I would say he has a lot of miles on the clock, and I would say the same about Rosado. They've been in tough fights against tough competitors. They've taken big shots, so that will have taken some toll by this stage in his career. Gabe Rosado, who has those wins over Joshua Clottey, Jesus Soto Caras, Gutierrez, losses against Jermel Charlo, David Lemieux, Peter Quillin, Gennady Golovkin. Again, good names. He's got 10 losses. It looks bad. It looks worse, than it should. But this is elite level boxing. He's an elite level fighter. He's been sharing the ring with proper fighters. So, I don't want to disparage him for these losses. They're kind of similar, these guys. The styles are similar. The records are similar. Although Martin Murray is better. He's got the better record. There's no doubt about it. Which way is this going to go? Now, the problem I have with Martin Murray is I saw the fight Nuhu Lawal. I saw this fight against Nuhu Lawal, and I was not impressed at all. Lawal hadn't fought at any sort of level. He came over and he put it all out there, and he went the distance with Murray, coming from weird angles. His technique wasn't too great, but the work rate was there, and he managed to trade. And Martin Murray got by with his durability, and literally his nous got him through. But it wasn't impressive from Murray, I have to say. Having seen that fight, I have question marks about Murray. Also, even though losing to George Groves is nothing to be ashamed of, Groves did a number on him. Groves was working the jab, which was one of the best jabs in boxing. So, don't insult Murray too much with that. But Groves showed him levels. Let's be honest about it. He showed him levels. He got the victory. There was no knockout, but he was outclassed, Murray. So, as I said, I think Murray's just slightly past his peak. Rosado, those 10 losses on his record, it's hard for me to find an argument to say that he's still operating at his 100% peak. I would say he's even just slightly past his peak as well. Both taking a lot of hits. Now, betting wise, Martin Murray 4-11, 1-3 in a lot of places. So what are we talking about? 1.33 to 1.36 territory. Low odds, short on Martin Murray. The draw we're talking about 25-1 is available. We've got Gabe Rosado 13-5. So nearly touching 3-1. Got 34-year-old Martin Murray, 31-year-old Gabe Rosado. Now, looking at the odds, I have to tell you the gut reaction is Martin Murray is too short. It's too short. I could see him being the favourite because of the records, because of the slightly better resume, because of the fact he's been in more title fights. He's slightly more experienced at an elite level. But I don't see it at 4-11. I'd probably see it as more of a 1.66, 2-3. Could even be 1.75, 3-4. So I think the bookies have gone way too short on Murray here. And so I have to take a glance at Gabe Rosado at 13-5. And I think this is going to be about who wants it, who's got more left, who's got more ambition. I actually think Murray has a lot of ambition left. I may even say, it's hard for me to say, I'm reaching here. I don't know Gabe Rosado's psychology. I've never met the guy. I've never spoken to the guy. The same said of Martin Murray. But from what I've seen, what I've known, what I've heard, Rosado could have put a bit more into his career. He could have been more than he is. He's had that feature role in Creed. Great performance acting wise, nice exposure, nice paycheck, no doubt. But in terms of career, I think he's put less in than he could have done, and he could have been more. And so that leads me to believe that Murray might have a bit more mentally in terms of ambition and drive for this victory. But having said that, we're talking about gambling here. We have to look at the odds, we have to look at the value, and the value here is for Gabe Rosado. So even if you lent towards Murray, in terms of the value, you have to look at Rosado from a betting point of view. Now, I'm kind of split here. I don't know whether it's because Martin Murray's a Brit. I could lean towards him, but with the prices, the lean for me, with the prices and the value, I have to look at Rosado. I think they're similar. I think it's not pick 'em. I think Murray has the slight edge in terms of being the winner, but in terms of the value, I'm going to look at Gabe Rosado. I'm even going to, which I haven't done before, mention a draw. I'm going to mention a draw. You've got two warriors here. 25-1. Put half a unit on it. These two are warriors. No one's going to... One goes down, they're getting up. They're not going to stay down. That's not how these two operate. They're warriors. They've done it before and they'll do it again. They're fighters. They're from fighting backgrounds. They're not going to just sit on the canvas and, do a Malik Scott or something and, pretend that they're getting up and look at the referee and try and clamber up on the ropes and then stay down. They're not going to do that rubbish, okay? They're going to be getting up, they're going to be in the fight, and they're going to fight till the end. And it's going to be a question of the best man winning. In terms of the betting recommendation, I'm going to go here for two things. I'm going to say put a tiny bit, a small amount. Don't put a lot on it, all right? Draws rarely happen in boxing. Although, having said that, we had one recently where I had a little bit on the draw. This was, what fight was this? Recently, there was a draw, high-profile fight. The names are escaping me. 168, super middleweight. It'll come back to me in a minute. For the time, the two things I'm going to talk about here are the draw. Gabe Rosado, 13-5. James DeGale versus the Ripper, Badu Jack. It was a draw. I had a little bit on it. Turned out nicely. This is a competitive fight. I can see a similar thing here. So DeGale, Badu Jack, there was a draw. It's rare. Doesn't happen often. But when you've got two warriors that won't give up, Going the distance is a possibility. I'm going to say whack a half unit on the draw on this one. And I'm also going to say whack 2 units on Gabe Rosado. That's what I'm going to be doing, because the value is there. Rosado, he shouldn't be any more than 2-1 in this fight. Certainly not. He's at 13-5, touching 3-1. So the betting recommendation, although I can see why Martin Murray is the favourite. So I'm kind of hedging around all three here, but I'm not going to hedge. I'm going to say a little bit on the draw, a little bit more on Rosado, and enjoy the fight, because it's going to be a war. It's going to be attritional. It's going to be a war. It's not going to be about hiding on the outside and hiding about jabbing. It's going to be about trading. It's going to be about blood and guts. And one of these two is going to come out on top. And from a betting point of view, I'm going to hope it's Gabe Rosado.